All right, guys, this is Frank again. Welcome back to Airlines Tycoon. This video is going to be about the all things airplanes, buying airplanes, knowing what kind of airplane to choose, leasing, maintenance, that kind of thing. So basically, it's going to be all things airplanes. Okay. When you get started in the game, one thing that you're going to know real quick is that you'll get to pick your planes, but really the planes you're going to choose, it really depends on how much money you have. And so when you're starting the game, you're not going to have a lot of options, okay? Because some of the nicer planes are obviously unlocked. So as you progress in the game, that's when you get more money, you earn more money by putting planes in the air, and then you're also collecting your research dollars as well, and that way you can unlock more planes. That's just the way the game is. But one thing regarding the plane that you want to choose. When you're first starting, almost everybody is doing either short or medium haul because those tend to be the less expensive planes. When you start the game, the tutorial, I do believe it gives you $1 billion to start with, but despite how good that sounds, it doesn't take long for you to eat that up because you're buying a couple of routes. The hub is free, so that's a good thing. But after that, everything else costs money, and so really you're kind of just saving up, and you're basically putting in the air whatever you can afford. And when you're starting, that's completely understandable. I did the same thing. Of course, after a while, when you do get to the point where you're making more money, you can always revisit those earlier routes, and then basically pull them out and then use those routes for 168s for something else, maybe, or maybe sell the planes if you want to. That would be your choice. But usually we all start off with something crappy. But one thing to be aware of when you're selecting your planes is the category, right? So almost always the airport you select from is a category 10. And that is your big airports. That's your big international airports. Those are all classified as Cat 10s. The category you also have a category of an airplane. So depending on the type of category you have, that's going to dictate where you can fly out of. Now, 99% of the time, this isn't a very big deal because you're selecting a pretty modern plane for the most part. And so if your airport is 10, you pretty much can fly anything there. It's when you select the smaller category airplane, that's where you got to be careful, because sometimes I've seen this happen a few times. This has also happened to me, where you purchase an airplane and then you're trying to route it, and then your plane doesn't show up on the list to select from, and you're like, well, where's my plane? I know I just bought that plane. How come it's not here? And it's because you picked the wrong plane for that route to that airport. So the way to look at it is that the category is based on the takeoff distance. Okay, so the plane that can fly, plane can fly equal or less than the plane's category. Okay, so that means if you got a category 5 plane, which is a smaller type of airplane, these are all Cat 1s. Let me see if I can find. Well, you know what? Let me go back. Go medium haul. And you can see here's some 3s, some 4s. There's a Cat 5 right there. And so what that simply is implying that Category 5 plane can only fly to airports that are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Um, and so, you know, that's just the way it is. Now, one interesting note is that in the game, and this is just a side note, it's not really important, but you'll notice that fuel requirement is not an issue in this game. Otherwise, it'd be something you would unlock, a service that you can implement. So really, they give you the fuel consumptions here, but really try not to hold that accountable for a lot, because it really doesn't matter. You're still going to fly the plane no matter what, whether it burns more fuel or not. In my opinion, and some of these categories, you're going to realize they don't match the airport. In other words, you'll live close to an airport and you'll see this one plane there, and then you come to the game and you're like, well, why can't I not fly that plane at that airport? I mean, I obviously see that plane in real life fly there. Why can't it not? My guess is because in the game, all planes are fully fueled when they take off. Unlike in the real world, planes only fly with enough fuel to get to the destination, including the emergency emergency fuel that they need in case they need to make an emergency stop somewhere else. So that's why that's what I think this is for. Though don't hold me to that, because I really don't know, because it's not implemented in the game. And that is this right here. Oh, wait, it's not here. Sorry. It's actually under the agenda. If you'll notice something under the fleet, I think it's under fleet. Yeah, there it is. Aircraft equipment. This is not implemented in the game at all. So the fact that you can't clear this in your agenda, it's okay. Nobody's cleared it. But my guess, I'm wondering if maybe this something might happen in the future where they might implement some kind of restriction with fuel, where if I want to fly a plane that's short haul on a bigger plane that's on a shorter distance, why do I need to have that? Why do I need to have the plane full of fuel? Obviously, there's some planes that'll take off on a shorter runway if it has less fuel, right? Because the plane is lighter. That is not a factor in this game. That's why I think a lot of us see planes that are not capable of flying at airports in the game, but in real life you clearly see them. And that's what I think is going on. So I honestly don't know what aircraft equipment's going to encompass. It's been like this for over a year now. Possibly longer than that. In my Tycoon, I've been playing about a year, maybe a year and a half, maybe. So it's been like that apparently long before then, because a lot of other players have said the same thing. But, when you do get your airplane, just something to think about whether you need it. One thing is that I try to just pick a plane that works. Now, another plane, it depends on your strategy too, right? I mean, I'm playing for long haul, high economy. Other players are playing realistic. Okay, they're role playing, and that's fine, to each his own. So they're going to use these newer fancy planes. I mentioned NGAF and other costs in the other videos, so that's something you need to consider if you're going to continue to use these more advanced planes, because otherwise you get dinged in the wallet for other costs. And the range on that other cost is from $100,000 to as high as $300,000 per flight. So that's just something to think about, And like I said, NGAF is something that you unlock in your research, and you don't have to do it; just unlock it. And it's got 4 levels. The 4th one being the most expensive. So it's not like you can get NGAF very fast. But at the very minimum, if you can unlock the first 2 levels, go back to your finances and then find out where you're at. And you'll see that value drop down significantly. But it also depends how many planes you have too. Like in my case, I don't have too many Airbus 380s. I think I have like 200 of them. My other cost for that plane cleared when I got to NGAF 2, level 2. Okay, but that's the only planes I had. Okay, so really don't have that many other planes. And so other things here that you need to also consider when you're purchasing another plane is the seat count. Okay, is the seat count. Remember, whatever seat count, you see here, remember it's always double when you route it, because this is maximum configuration, of course. And so if I tap on the 300, you'll notice that, this is the maximum that you're going to get out of here at 550. So when you decide to use this plane, this is something I don't think new players realize. Again, you're learning the game, but be aware that when you select a plane, look at the seat count versus how much demand you have left. I use 2 planes in my setup. Actually, I use 3. Excuse me. I use a 747-200. Okay, and I'll show you here real quick. Those numbers. Not my aircraft. Sorry about that. Let me go back. Air acquisition. Airplane, long haul. So I tend to use the 747s. Now, I have no problem using the 747-400. The 400, the 300. I use mostly the 200. It's more profitable. The ROI is a lot better. But there's actually nothing. In fact, what's weird is that the 300 is actually gives you more options. And do you know why? Look at the category between them. So on the far left, the 200 is a Cat 7 and the 300 is a Cat 6. I can fly to more airports with the 747-300. So that gives me that much more wiggle room when I make 168s. Okay, it's like flying the Concorde. That's a Cat 10 airplane. I want to say the 747-800 is a Cat 10 as well. Don't hold me to that. Oh, it's a Cat 9. So you really don't have a lot of options. That's another thing. When you guys pick this 380, it's a Cat 8. A lot of times you're not really thinking of that. You just like the 380 because it's got a high seat count. Okay, it's got a good range on it. But if you're playing this game to rank and make some serious money, that's not really the best plane to use. There's actually other planes to select from. And the 747-8 is even worse than the Airbus 380. It's a Cat 9. That makes my choices even smaller because that means I can only fly to a Cat 9. So that's, just one of those things because the wingspan on this thing is enormous, as well as the weight and the takeoff distance. But again, that gets into the aircraft equipment versus real world, right? So, but yeah, the 747-200, you get maximum 595, and I've been using this plane for so long. I already know the numbers on it already. So, I need to have minimum demands of 1190 for me to use this plane for full eco, and including my cargo, sorry. So, if I obviously have demands that are way less than 1190, this is not the plane to use. Okay, another consideration is, okay, I want to use a plane to pick up the rest of the demands. Does it have the distance for it? Now, I will tell you this. When I first started playing this, I was like many of you. I had a truckload of different plane types. And so I could use the Airbus 320 or whatever just to fill the demand. The problem is that I wasn't picking up the demand for the other routes because at that time I wasn't doing 168s. So my demand numbers were just all over the place. Wasn't very practical to do it that way. It took more work for me to do. I had to use more planes, and it was just a big mess. So once I found a plane that worked for me to take care of my long haul, then I kind of already knew the numbers already because I already know the spec of this plane. Okay, but if I had a distance that could go the range of a smaller plane that would fit the routes, then this would be one of the option planes that I would use. Okay, and the other plane would be let's see here, the 96300. This is the second plane that I use, and it's somewhere in here. Where are you? There you are. So here is that plane. Okay, and this guy gives me 300 seats, so really it's 600 for demands, and I can do at least 10 tons of cargo, which is really 20. So this is not a bad plane to pick up the rest of the cargo or rest of the demands. Okay, the other plane I like using, and this guy really picks up like demands that are less than 300, and that's the DC-8. Okay, now some of you will say, well, that's an old plane. Hell, this one's an old plane. The 747-200 is an old plane. Yes, it's an old plane. It's classified as the classic. Okay, so yeah, I know, but still, the planes just have a return on your investment so fast. If you try flying the Airbus 350, that plane is so expensive. And how do you figure out your ROI? Well, you take the price of the plane and then you divide it by the seats in the plane. And that gives you a cost of per passenger amount. Okay, and that's how you figure out your ROI. You also have taxes to consider. Okay, not airport taxes is what I mean. So you also have that to consider. All these things are just all these little hidden things that you really don't see when you first start playing because you just want the plane. And so the 747-200 is a good plane. I use that most of the time, but I seem to use this plane more. Obviously, it's got less seat count, and the other thing too with this plane is the distance, right? The range on it is 11,500, way lower than the 747-200. Okay, so I'm missing out on a lot of potential revenue in that range gap. So that's why I like using the 747 for 6 route, 7 plane, 6 route 168s. I use the 96300 for 7 route, 7 plane, and it works really well. Now, then you start having a lot of leftovers that are kind of low. I kind of do as much as I can before I start raising the price tickets manually. Okay, because you're going to get to a point where you just can't put another plane on it. So you're trying to make as much revenue. You want that maximum turnover. We went over that in the last video. Maximum turnover, that number is based on what you'll make if you have every single person in your plane. Okay, that has nothing to do with the route. Okay, so this plane right here I really like a lot because I can pick up, 300 passengers and maybe even pick up a little bit of business in first class. It really depends on what you're wanting to do. Now, real quick here with these numbers here, you have all economy. That's the maximum seats. Business class, you're roughly looking at 2 economy for 1 business class seat. And then you're looking roughly at 1, 2, 3, 4. You're roughly looking at about 4 economy seats for 1 business class seat. Okay, so really it's 2 and 4. And then it's, excuse me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 9, 10 is really 10 economy seats for 1 ton of cargo. Okay, it gave me 2, but I got 1 by default. Remember? See, there it is. So for 10 economy seats, I gain 1 ton of cargo. And those are the numbers you just want to just write down on a little sticky pad, put it on your monitor or something like that, just so you can just keep track of it. After a while, you just kind of figure it out and you remember it. But that's kind of how that works. Now, how you configure your plane is completely up to you. Now, this is just me. When I buy a plane, and it doesn't matter which one you get, it makes no difference. If you're doing 168s, that's great. In my opinion, I would knock out all the economy as possible. And then on your last wave, you can start swinging stuff over a little bit and maybe pick up some, and then maybe pick up the rest of the demands. Okay. Then you can kind of swing things over, do a little mathematics. Everything, all the math in this is all simple arithmetic, so it's not that heavy. Though you could make it calculus and algebra and stuff like that if you want to, but you're overthinking it. So, yeah, now that you want to overthink it, you get into the algorithms. I mentioned that with the price, with the increasing the tickets of the price. Remember when, just because you have a $2,000 maximum recommended on your ticket price, it doesn't mean you can just type in $10,000 and hope for the best. It doesn't work like that. So that's when we get into some more advanced algorithms in the game. But that's the way the developers made it. Remember, we're playing by their rules. So so that's just kind of how this works right here. As far as moving planes to other hubs, this is how you would do it. This is where you could do it. If you have a lot of planes sitting in the hangar and you want to move them all at once, that's where you can. Well, I think they actually put that in here. It's funny. I've actually never done it in the app, but I believe you can do that from the app now. And I think you come here and then you come here. I think that's what this restructure is for. But you need the AM Gold for that. So either way, it doesn't matter to me. But if I want to move planes, more than one plane to another hub, then the website is where to do that from. You can do it very easy. And I'm going to talk about the web here in just a second here. But I wanted to come back here because I wanted to show you, and I'm just picking any plane because it doesn't matter at this point. You can see here, this thing will give you the maximum. You'll notice that on the app, this guy only goes up to 30 planes. It happens to be the maximum discount you can get in the game. Okay. And the discount is all in your is all in unlocking those features in the research. Okay, so you want to work on that so you can get the maximum discount. This is why it goes up to 30. Okay, now once I've done that, then you can give it a name. If you decide to just give it a name, like me, I tend to keep the naming conventions pretty simple in my setup, but this is me. If I'm going to order a whole bunch of these 96s, let me say just 4 or 7, right? I'm doing another 168. I tend to just label it very straightforward. I don't get too fancy here because I am going to label them another way later. But if you just put this on here, the game will come back and add another digit. So if I ordered 7 of them, it's going to come back with 96300-1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So yeah, and, and so that's this kind of how you can label them. Just kind of keep them simple. If you leave the naming convention blank, then you're going to get a random alphanumeric numbering scheme that the game just spits it out. So they mean absolutely nothing. It's just the plane's got to have a name. Got to have a tail number. So if you leave this blank, it just makes anything up. Okay, and then they'll get dumped at the CBT count at the hangar at CBT in my case. Okay, so the other thing, if I go back, let's cover this real quick here. Leasing an aircraft. Okay. If you're just starting this game, it really is up to you. Personally, I don't lease. I only leased to achieve the agenda objectives, and I leased it for the shortest amount of time. I think I leased it for like a week. But if you're going to lease, fuel rules to understand, or rather to just know, is that you cannot configure the airplane. This is probably the biggest thing. Okay. So with that being said, what do you think your routes should be? All economy or tri-class? The answer is obvious, right? I mean, if I can't configure this plane to all economy, then I probably should be flying to tri-class cities, where I know I'm going to have a little of everything. You know what I'm saying? So the other thing, too, is that if I want to maximize utilization of this plane, then I would probably stick to a 24-hour route. That guarantees that I will use up everything in this plane all week, every day. Remember, the plane doesn't belong to me, so eventually I'm going to have to give it up. In my opinion, and this is just my opinion, do a lease to fulfill agenda objectives. Don't get complicated with leases because you really can't do much. And if you're going to constantly lease planes, then you're better off buying the plane to begin with. Okay, so, I don't really have much to say about the leasing. They're good for 24-hour routes to tri-class cities. And that's really it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with leasing, especially when you're first starting, because you're looking at that total cost. You see that low number. Obviously 43, 1,000 or whatever is a lot less. If you do it, lower for 1 week, it's even cheaper, So, but you do get your deposit back. And, so I remember when I first, the only time I had the Airbus 380 very early in the game, before I even had the thing unlocked, is during a lease. That's how I acquired the 380. And I actually had quite a few of them. I think I had like 4 of them. I completely forgot about the lease period, and it went by. Remember, 8 weeks. Remember, one Tycoon day is one Tycoon day is 7 days in the game, but it's one real day, right? So after like a week and a half, I saw all my routes, not my routes, but the plane, they weren't flying anymore, and I was trying to figure out what the hell just happened. And when the lease ends, the repo man comes and takes the plane back because I didn't renew the lease. So hopefully that doesn't happen to you. But I learned a lot from just screwing up in the beginning. So, but yeah, I mean, leases are okay, but I would stick to 24-hour routes and tri-class locations. That'll give you the most benefit out of it. Otherwise, if you can get by without doing them, I would not do them. So I can see why it's attractive. It's the price that'll get you, right? It's just so cheap. I get that, because you're just starting. Um, I mean, short and medium and long haul. There's really not much. I mean, short hauls. I mentioned this in the other video, that short haul is good because you make money faster. The ROI is faster, but long haul is the way to go. Short haul is more maintenance. So, but that's kind of real world, right? So, because the plane is always going up and down, so it's better to go long haul. Cargo. I'm not gonna lie to you. I do have 4 777 cargo planes, and I only got them just for the heck of it. That's why I got it. I said, you know what, screw it. I was kind of advanced in the game already, and so that's why I did it. Otherwise, let me see. I think I can just come here and just hit cargo. And, well, my 777s, well, let me just do this. Will it come up? I don't know if you guys are experiencing this, but this search thing has not been working lately because of the updates. There's some history behind these MD-11s. So a while back, Play Ryan came out with some specials, and they were giving away these MD-11s. Oh, that's what I need to talk about, is the coins, is the licenses. But they were giving away these MD-11s at a discount price with no coins. So I thought, at that time, obviously I had trillions. I said, you know what? I'm going to buy a few of those and run them out of Memphis and have me a little FedEx, little play rolling on FedEx. And there it is. There's a 777 right there. JFK. So look at that. I've had this plane for so long. Look how much profitability I barely have on it. See, that's the thing with these newer planes. I bet you if I can look up this in my finances, yeah, the return on the investment is a long time on this guy. But, I was at the stage where it didn't matter to me. So, wow, 500%. I know I've had this thing for a good 8 months now. 6 months maybe. Wow, that's a shame. But anyway, they were having a special on those MD-11s, and then the next day they had a special buying the hub, or buying the Memphis hub. And I'm like, oh, how perfect would that be, to go ahead and buy the, well, it looks like my thing just hung up. It would be nice to just buy the Memphis hub and the MD-11. So that's what I did. I only bought 500 planes. So the Memphis hub is my lowest number. So while that's all stuck and glued together, I don't know what's going on here. Thanks, Player Ryan. Let's just reboot here real quick. I wanted to talk about the classic planes, so the coins. Okay, so obviously, again, geared towards new players. Experienced players might probably already know this already. But you'll notice that when you go to your airplane selection, you'll see some planes there with the coins and then some without them. And let me come over here, acquisition, and then purchase, and then I'll just hit long haul. And then let me go to one with a here's one right here, this DC-873. Okay, I'm just going to use this plane right here. This is an example. But you can see that this, for me to buy this DC-873, it'll cost me 105 mil, but it's also going to cost me 20 coins. Do not do this. Do not do this. Okay, so you'll notice how I just how I just put 7 in there. I might have the cash for it, but it's going to set you back 140 coins. That's assuming you even have that. Most players are not swimming in coins. Okay, I get my coins. It's the only reason why I play Bob the maintenance game. I sure as hell don't do it for maintenance in my fleet. I have over 12,000 planes in my fleet. That game does not do anything for me. Okay, I play Bob the maintenance game for the coins. That's why I play it. Hey, if I can get a couple coins, then I'm cool. In Tycoon, I run. In Tycoon, remember to run a D check, not an A check, a D check. Remember, Tycoon's an accelerated game. You run a D check, okay, it takes 24 hours to take hold. Make sure you also unlock the wear rate in the what do you call it? In the research. I'll talk about that in a minute. But the point is that don't buy a plane and then you have to give them 140 coins. That's what the license is for. If you have every intention of using this plane a lot, just buy the license. The license will cost you a one-time coin fee, okay, of maybe like 150 coins, okay, and then that gives you the license, the right to use it, okay. Then you come back here, and then you won't see the plus 20 on here. You'll just see the price of the plane, okay. So I'll show you here where to get the license. Now, if I want to buy the license for any plane, you don't have any choice. You have to come to the website. Okay, you have to come to the website. The website is basically tycoon.airlines-manager.com, and then you're going to log in the same way you logged in the app. Okay, and it'll look something like this. It looks a little bit different, of course. It is web-based. But if you're needing a license, okay, you see this little button right here. It's called Shop. Okay, click on that, and then come to Aircraft, right here. And then just look for, oops, it didn't go to Aircraft. Come on. There we go. Once you go to the Aircraft section, then you will see all your planes. Okay, there's my DC-8-73 that we were just looking at. Okay, you see? Activate with 200 coins. So the license fee is 200. Now, once I buy this license right here with my coins, I'll get a little pop-up saying congrats, on the license, la da da. Then you come back to your app. Okay, you come back to your app, and you will not see the 20 coins part here. You'll just see the money part, and that's it. And then you can buy as many as you want with just cash. That is a license. Okay. Another thing to be careful with, some of these planes look very similar for the passenger and the freighter. Be very careful you don't select the wrong one by accident. See, this one says 200F. I have the 200, so the 200 is not going to be on here already. But there's the F. That's the freighter, the cargo. Here is the 100B. This is the passenger one. If you want some intel on it, you can just hit the little magnifying glass, and it gives you the specs on the plane. But you'll see that in the app anyway, and that's how you get the license for these things. Okay, so It's very useful, especially if you're wanting to fly the older planes. Okay, so going back to the app here, so that shows you how to take out, get the license for that. And let me come back here. Let me come back. And so we're looking at cargo, aircraft leasing. I'm not going to cover secondhand market. I don't use this that much. I think there's just a lot of things that are going on here that I don't approve, but my thing doesn't matter. My aircraft acquisition, maintenance. So let's talk maintenance real quick here. So if you're new to the game, you'll notice these little symbols right here on your plane. If you don't have them listed like this, then you probably have them listed like this. It's the same thing, but once your fleet gets big, this is actually a little bit easier to read. But you'll see here the wear rate. Okay, my stuff is very, very low. And so in Tycoon, if I need to do some maintenance, I usually wait 3 days, and then I do a D check in my Tycoon account. The reason is because remember, Tycoon is accelerated. It's an accelerated game, so it's 7 days for 1 day. I actually tested this when I had 5,000 planes, and I was doing nothing but A checks, and an A check takes I think 8 hours or 12 hours or something like that. In any case, by the time I was done with the A check, I had to do it again. And it was just a constant A check, and I finally just got tired of doing that. And so I said, you know what, screw this. I'm not doing this no more. And I just did the whole fleet of a D check, and now it's a little bit easier to manage. After about 2 or 3 days, I just do the whole thing. Now, one thing to be aware of is that you'll notice your wear rate on these planes. Okay, they're different with all the planes, but the wear rate is a lot faster in Tycoon. Now, you also have another option called age. Okay, so when you look at the aging on here, and let me come back to here, maintenance. So the age of this thing would be, this is why I was constantly doing A checks, because if my age is maxed out, then the wear rate is faster. So that is why it was just constant A checks in Tycoon. I was like, I can't do this anymore. This is ridiculous. It didn't matter about the money. I had the money, but it was just ridiculous to just keep doing it. So I finally just gave up on that and just did D checks, and it was more manageable. It was a little cheaper, maybe about, I don't know, like $5 billion cheap. For me, it was. I mean, it's going to be different with everybody. But yeah, do D checks in your Tycoon, and if you're playing professional, it's definitely A checks. I do a little bit D's sometimes because remember, that's in real time. Professionals in real time, it's way more manageable than it is in Tycoon. But either way, there is one thing you should always unlock, and that is under the research. I believe it's under aircraft, and let's see if it's here. Yes, it is. It's called the Dream Team. There it is. And this will slow down your incidence on the wear. So right now, if you do not have this, remember the little airplane symbol that you were getting earlier? You start to see those little triangles. So next to your airplane, you got these little triangles that are next to it. And when you start seeing those triangles, that's not good. That means you're starting to get incidents after 10%. Okay? So if you unlock the Dream Team, your incidents don't start till 20%. And guess what? That extends your wiggle room in doing a D check. Now, my fleet is huge, okay? So I have to do a D check for me. Before I start hitting incidents at 20%, roughly about 2.5 to 3 days, that's when I got to do the D check. Otherwise, I start taking incidents. Maybe 4 days. It really depends. But yeah, this is the Dream Team is something you definitely want to unlock, and make sure you get all 20 of them or all 4 levels so you can get that 20%. There was another equivalent on the age side. I want to say if this is the mechanic. I don't remember this, guys. It's been a while since I've completed this. I don't think that was it. I think it's called the engineering one. Yeah, maybe it's this one. Yeah, see, there it is. So you do this one, and it slows down your aging as well. So, but like I said, the research, you can only do one at a time. So it's gonna take a while. You know, it's gonna take a while. But there's some gimmies right off the bat you just got to take care of. And then you also have the research dollars on here. This one's like the granddaddy right here. This is the granddaddy. 3 of 3 high-tech hangars. Check A, D price, minus 20%. That's $25 billion to unlock. That was the last thing for me to unlock in all of the research. And that took me a good while to save up. I had already had everything unlocked except that one. So that's like the granddaddy of... There's a couple big ones in the I think it's in the human resources, but what else I was going to show you? It's airplane. Oh, there's your maximum discounts. These are all accumulative, by the way. So if you'll notice in this is at level 5, or aircraft 5 is what they call it. So there's a discount one there. Look at aircraft 4. There's another discount right here. You can see that right here. 4 of 4. And then aircraft 3, you got the 4 of 4 again. It's right above the Dream Team. And then I think you got one here in aircraft 2. So you keep unlocking these discounts so you can get a little discount when you're bulk purchasing. Now, one thing that I do in my case, remember when you're ordering planes in the app, you only get 30 of them. But trust me, you just have to be patient, but trust me, eventually you'll get to the point where you want to buy a ton of planes. Okay? That's more than 30. Like right now, when I finish this, I have to order some planes in my Tycoon, in my professional. But I won't do that from the app. I'll do that from the web. And let me come back to the web here. Okay. So what I'll do here is that I can hit the airplane. Oops. Aircraft purchase. Sorry, aircraft purchase. It's a little slow today. And then I'll hit new. And then long haul. Now this is what I'm going to do in my pro account. I'm in my Tycoon, so, but the point is that you can do that very easily right here. And there's the 96300, and I can literally do that if I wanted to. And it's going to cost me $9 billion, or what is that? Billion. Big deal. Okay, but the point is that you can on the web you can order more than 30 on the web, and then when you I haven't bought them yet, of course. The next page gives me my configuration page. And this is how I like labeling all my planes. And that's how I like use it for all the planes. This is why I like doing this, because it's easier for me to find. Okay, if I'm looking for a spare airplane and it's not labeled as a 168, then I know it's going to have like this, or it'll be this, or it'll be that. Those are the only 3 planes I use. Okay, so now obviously I won't I won't hit purchase, but that's how you do that. Okay. The other thing I like doing from here, moving planes from one hub to another. Okay, is to hit the mass management. And I believe all my planes right now are in actually I have no idea. Let me see here. I actually have the app on loss. Okay. LOS, loss of signal. Okay, so there's that. I can see my hub management. And just give it a second for it to come up. It's percolating. And now I can expand on this. It says 53 aircraft inactive. And now I can move them all over to somewhere else. Or if I just want to move a couple, to wherever, I can do that. Or if I want to sell it. Now, one caveat about you doing this: if you have any airplanes in maintenance, you can't do anything. You can move stuff around. Okay, you can, but you can't sell it. Okay, you have to wait for that maintenance to finish. Okay, I have never run into that. I just saw that. And I'm like, oh, yeah. So, and I don't have anything under maintenance. I just did a D check. I just finished a D check right before the video, and I won't do the D check till tomorrow. Not tomorrow, but the next day. I'll run another D check. And that's pretty much it. So I kind of like the web. There's a lot of things in the web that's very useful. I know there's a lot of high-ranking players that like using the web more. I'm still not used to it. Yeah, I need to practice, like just doing 168 or something, or a 24-hour route, something easy so I can just get used to it. But yeah, I mean, it takes some getting used to it in the web. It is technically the same, and you can do a little bit more here. One thing that I love doing in the web is labeling the planes. So I like using the labeling on here. So I did 96300, and then that are not being used, that's how you read that. And then it's going to give me a list, and then I can just do a copy and paste. Boom. 1, 2, 3. It's very easy here. I find the labeling to be extremely easy in the web versus labeling stuff in the app. It's just so much jumping around you have to do here to get things done. It just takes too long. Let's see here. I'm trying to think what else to show you guys involving the airplanes. If you want to see the what you're being charged per flight, like the monies and your taxes and stuff like that, your other costs, your ancillary. I did mention this in the other video, but just in case, if someone is watching this but didn't see the other video, come to your buildings, and then hit finances, and then hit cash account, and then hit flight. If flights per day is on here, hit the bottom where it says grouped, hit individual, and then just hit any one of these. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. And there you go. This is going to tell you everything about the flight. So my turnover was 5.5 mil. Of that, 4.7 was from tickets, and then almost $1 million, almost shy of 900,000 was ancillary for doing nothing. For doing nothing. And that ancillary, as far as I'm concerned, will take care of the flight costs. Well, most of it. Almost all of it. So think about that. This flight I made about $4 million, right? Because my ancillary was $865,000. The fuel cost me $364,000, and airport taxes is $46,000. Okay, so this I made all profit. Okay, so. And that's just one plane, but you can go back and you can inspect other planes, especially you guys that haven't unlocked any NGAF, or you're still working on ancillary in your training with your staff and services. Keep an eye on this other cost right here. Keep an eye on this other cost right here. You'll see this number pretty significant. And I've seen when I first started, the range on this could be as low as 50,000. You know, obviously if you've got a short route, it won't be that much, but it'll still be there. But I've seen it as low as 100 grand, as high as 350 per flight. So I don't know, just something to think about. You do not get this in the older planes. So I want to make money. So that's why I stopped flying the Airbuses. So let's see here. What else can I show you regarding the planes? Livery, I really don't mess with that. I kind of played with that in the beginning. It's amazing how many of you guys are so good at the livery. But the problem is that it's not like you can see anything. So that's why I don't really put a lot of stock on the livery. So, all right then, gang. So I will leave it at that. If I may have missed something, my videos are not perfect. So if you have any questions, just ask. I'll try to answer them. If you want me to make a video on something more specific, just request it. Subscribe, so that way I do kind of make new videos as I see fit, depending on questions that I'm asked a lot. Maybe I didn't cover it that in depth. My videos do tend to be long. I am an instructor in the real world, so I tend to describe things very, very deeply, or very detailed. Sorry. If you want me to go over the math on anything, I can do a math video. So just let me know. Okay. So guys, it's been fun. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you later.